has started.
Yep. Oh, okay. The pre-show has started. So anything interesting you want to say on for now that will be actually on the stream because now it's streaming on Facebook. Oh, and a reminder to put it on the Peace Center's Facebook too.
Okay.
Thanks, Richard. So
Should I
it'll
do that before you go on the air?
whenever you want to. It doesn't matter.
Okay.
Whenever you want, whenever it's convenient for you.
Twitch has accepted the stream.
Yeah, it'll be on Twitch. It'll be on Facebook.
YouTube has accepted the
It'll
stream.
be on YouTube.
I don't know.
And Facebook has accepted the stream.
Right.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
I had
So
no
what
idea
I'm
how
going
any
to
of
do
that
is
worked.
restart the timer.
Right. And by the way, so you'll see on the timer when we're getting close. So when it's about 4 minutes from the end, then I'm going to reclaim the thing and just finish us off. So
Okay.
it's going to start very shortly. We have 5 seconds to starting.
Here's something that is new that you're not aware of.
Okay.
You know the little button box in front of you?
Yeah.
It has a number 5.
Right.
When you press that, you will start the timer.
Oh, that's nice. Okay.
And then, of course, fade to black at the end.
Okay.
Power
okay.
right back.
So everybody's ready to go. Here. I need this at the end. So just forget the really fun part. Okay. Okay, so we're ready to go, right?
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah,
so.
Good. I think so too. Okay, so here we go.
You didn't hit.
I did hit the 5. What happened?
It's the number 5.
Yeah.
Oh. Okay. Well,
That's all
that
I
wasn't,
hit.
That wasn't.
There's
it.
2 5s. Oh, it says VIN 5 above it. Is it the other
yeah,
5?
that's VIN 5 is something totally different.
Oh, so now what do I have to do? undo that.
Let me get you reset here.
Yeah, reset.
Okay, hit the 5 with the,
The other
circle
5.
around it.
The other 5. Okay, sorry. I never even saw that one. Here we go. Okay. Welcome. Welcome to Talking Peace with the Western New York Peace Center, being recorded here in Think Twice Radio, the home of the future, also the home of our friend and producer, Richard Wicca. Thank you, Richard. And we also thank WBNY, Buffalo's original alternative radio station, 91.3 FM, coming out of Buffalo State University. And we thank our producer there, or actually 2. Now we're working on 2 producers over there. One, Greg Harvey, who's the chief engineer. Thank you, Greg. And thanks, too, to Brian Harrell, who's going to be helping us producing over at WBNY. So when I think of thankfulness, I also think of our Black, Indigenous, and people of color friends and others who've experienced oppression, and just how important are so many people who have been mightily oppressed and or just have that wisdom to know that thankfulness is just so important. So first I want to acknowledge that we are on stolen Haudenosaunee land, that we are on the land of the Seneca, or as they call themselves, the Inondawaka. Here, they're called the Keepers of the Western Door, and they and all of the Haudenosaunee start all of their events out with a Ganonyo, or a Thanksgiving address, which really thanks the people who made the gathering possible, as we just did, and thanks Mother Earth for giving us everything we need for a good life here on this earth. Thanks the living waters, Mini Wachoni, water is life, that makes up 70% of our bodies and gives us everything we need, in terms of, so important for living and so important to the whole creation, that water is life. And then we thank all the plants and animals, the plants, the nutritional and medicinal plants, and the knowers of the plants, and all of the different animals, creatures, swimming, crawling, four-leggeds, and flying creatures. And then so many different features of beauty in our world. And then there's the whole sky world and the things in the sky world, brother, sun, grandmother, moon, and the whole sky world. And, of course, the creator and the love that animates it all. and then they say, and of course they do it in a much longer version than that, and then, and then the person will say Yahweh, which is sort of glory or thanks to the Creator, and then the people say no. So very like Ashe for people in either black people and African people say Ashe. But so the Haudenosaunee say Yahweh. So I'll say Yahweh, Yahweh. You say no. So Yahweh.
Yo.
Thank you for that. So we have another very important topic. I'm going to say, well, our given topic is growing our endangered democracy. So I almost changed the name to Democracy in Crisis just because yet more threats and, alarming, ridiculous statements coming out of he who shall not be named. But before I even get into that, I just want to say, well, I'm so thrilled. We've got two people very well versed in all kinds of things about democracy, needs and tools and everything for democracy. We have Alex Bornemisza. Am I saying it right?
Bornemisza.
Bornemisza. Bornemisza. Alex, thank you for joining. Alex.
Thanks for having me.
Alex, as the regional representative for NYPIRG, or New York Public Interest Research Group. I know you've been working on these things, and we're just very glad you could make it.
Thank you so much. Feels great to be here.
Yeah, thanks, Alex. And then, of course, Lori Robinson. You've been on the show before, right?
No, I haven't been on your
Oh,
show before.
Well,
Vicky.
it's about time.
I've been on
a lot
PPG's
of other
podcast.
shows. Yeah, I know you've been on lots of shows. Yes, you have. And Lori is the president of League of Women Voters, Buffalo, Niagara. And because I see you so often and we work together on so many different times and ways that I felt like you must have been. So it makes me all the gladder that you're here today.
Well, I am so happy to be here. I've been wanting to come on your radio show for a long time. I was excited when you invited us.
Well, I'm so glad that you're here. Oh, and some because you're so busy, and there you've been.
Well, then there's
invited
that.
before. You've been invited.
Then there's
before.
that. Yes. No, Suzanne that was going to come, she had gone to the show.
Right.
with
She
you
has, and
before,
of course, friend of the show, Sam White. So
Yes,
Sam,
yeah.
God bless Sam. Oh, our dear,
Yeah.
our dear. So anyway, it's great to be here. And so we'll start the way we like to start, which is something to uplift us, really. So when we think of growing our endangered democracy, we start off with the values. So when you think of that topic, democracy or growing it or growing an endangered democracy, what are the values that you think of? The values that you think are important in that topic, in that subject. So we're going to go around. Yeah. So, Alex?
For sure. I mean, I always felt that voting is it's interesting because it's both very personal, it's also very public. And as far as values when it comes to voting, what I see is it's bringing people together to build our society and continue to progress it because, things that don't change become stale, but also to make sure that we're fixing the problems that we have in our society, finding where the cracks are and how people are falling into them and reaching our arms in to pull them out. And I don't know how long you want me to talk about values here.
Well,
but,
no, that's
yeah,
it's just a couple of values. So really, you have a couple. So voting, you're talking about voting, and also very important, the need for change. And when we hear change is constant, and change is constantly needed.
absolutely.
Yeah. So
And building towards that change, doing it together, and looking out for the rest of us.
right,
Whoever needs help.
right, absolutely. Thank you so much, Alex. And Lori, what would you think of?
Well, the first thing that came to my mind was inclusiveness
Mm-hmm.
and the idea that everybody that lives in this country, yes, I agree that only citizens should be able to vote, that you need to make that commitment and that step. But there's a lot of people that are living in this country, and we welcome them. They may not be able to vote, so then therefore it's up to the rest of us to make sure that we're voting our values so that everybody has the opportunity. I often say when we're tabling and people say, "Oh, I don't vote" or whatever, I'm like, "Well, you don't vote, and that's your choice, but you still have to abide by whatever decisions come out of the election." And so you want to live with what you want to see, not what somebody else dictates to us.
I couldn't help thinking that you're going to say, well, you don't vote, but you still complain, right?
Well, yeah.
No, well, which is a whole,
But
well, which is actually true.
Yeah.
People do that, But I always like to, I think of, well, first of all, I usually do say, and I think in this case I have to still say truth and love. Because the truth is that we haven't had a really, really effective democracy for quite a long while, and it's gotten worse over time. And that it's about caring for each other and caring for the common good for everyone. As you point out, not everybody can vote, but everybody has to live. And actually, with, the oversized place that the United States has in the world, and being the greatest purveyor of violence, as Reverend Dr. King said, other people also have to deal with the consequences of our voting or lack
The
of
whole
voting.
world, yes.
Yeah. So anyway, truth and love, and the other piece I think of about voting is, voting is so important. People died for that privilege or for that right. However, it's also necessary. I always like to say necessary but not sufficient, because by the time you're voting, you don't have many choices, and so much of the work is before that, all of that. So
Right.
we'll get into that.
get
I
into
know
that,
we will. So meanwhile, anyway, so let us just briefly, and I did allude very briefly to what Trump said yesterday. Oh, we won't need to. Maybe we won't even have an election or have any, election, because we don't really need to, or just have the Republicans be in charge, So I want to say I felt very bad yesterday when that was said yet again. And then there's all the claims of joking. But as we were saying before we started the show, I think of my ex-husband's phrase that he used to use, kidding on the square. So people joke, but they mean it. And what we've seen, that behavior from he who shall not be named, time and time again, where he introduces things, and it's just like the camel's nose in the tent. So first, when the nose comes in, you think, well, it's just a nose. It doesn't really matter. But the rest of the camel is coming right in behind it. So he's just introducing that thought. Then he's going to keep introducing it, and then he's going to whammo. So that's what I'm afraid of. But in the meanwhile, so I want to give us all a chance to go around on that. And so, Alex, your thoughts?
I'm sorry. I'm currently just thinking of a camel very slowly entering a tent right now.
I wish if it was Donald Trump's bedroom. Anyway, or in the Anyway, never mind.
Oh, like a bull in a china shop. First of all, if you are going to make a joke, please make sure it's funny. And I say that for all people everywhere. If you're not bad at jokes, don't make them. Work on them in private. Craft them. Make them actually funny. That's why I don't do stand-up. So, I grew up, and I don't always follow this rule, but I was taught a couple things about jobs in life. And one of them is you want to dress for the job that you have and the job that you want. And also, as you become more important in your work and you have more responsibilities, you also need to be a better person, more thoughtful of your actions, and take it seriously. And when I hear somebody like that, joking or otherwise, I mean, like I said, first of all, didn't sound like a joke. It's not funny, or at least you're not being funny.
Right.
And it's so undignified. Which is just the word that comes back to me with so much of our politics now. And I don't mind a little bit of mudslinging every now and then. I don't mind people, raising their emotions from time to time. But, God, it's so just, it's hard to watch.
Right.
It's really hard to watch. And it creates a situation where people can't take it seriously. I do a lot of work on college campuses, work with a lot of young people, and I can tell that they can't take it seriously, and some don't. It's treated like a game, it's treated like a joke, a bad one, yet again. And it's not taken seriously by any stretch of the imagination. It's sad.
Yeah.
Because these are things that are going to impact people's lives. I think people are starting to realize that again, which is good. But if I could say something to him, I would say,
Right.
relax.
Yeah.
Don't be such a jerk.
There you go. Perfect. Yes, indeed. Lori?
Forgot what we were talking. The importance of voting. That was the original
Well,
question.
no. It was actually, we were starting off with the threat of
Right, of taking it away.
of Trump's joke of yesterday. And actually, I want you to say, I'm eager for you to say what you said to me
That's
when I
what
brought it up.
I
to
was
start
just
with.
going to say,
Yes.
anybody that knows anything about domestic violence, that is one of the first signs is that your abuser is going to start saying things, but then when you call them out, oh, I was only joking. I was only joking. So that any of us that know anything about that kind of psychology, the total feel like I'm trapped in an abusive relationship, and you can't talk rational to somebody that's like that either, because you can't explain to them how this is not looking good, how this isn't this is not in our Constitution. Our Constitution says that, we the people have the right to vote for our government. We are the government. We are the ones that are making these decisions. Our elections are only picking one of us to go and represent us, because all of us can't be in the same room at the same time. So we have to pick a trusted person that's going to bring our values to our government. That's the wishful thinking, I feel, of our democracy. I was very naive for a long time too, and thought they weren't doing such a bad job. We were I do believe that we need to continually grow and evolve, to just talk about our Constitution, that this is what they said and this is what we got to do. Well, I'm sorry, but they didn't know about flush toilets when they wrote that Constitution.
Right.
So,
All kinds of things.
when they keep saying, let's go back, I'm like, okay, go back. But we got to get rid of all of our infrastructure, all of our electricity, all of our computers, practically everything that we use right now to live. They had no idea. So I get very perplexed when they say, we're going to go back to this exact thought and just ignore what we've learned and how we've evolved in 250 years. I mean, to me, that's like absurd.
Well,
we're just going to ignore everything that happened in the last. And yes, it was never perfect. We know now that it was never perfect. I mean, we know that we fought for this. I'm just kind of in that middle. I was too young to really be a hippie, and, so wasn't real involved in all of that in the '60s. But so I am one of the very, very privileged and lucky, wonderful people, citizens of this country, that I got to live most of my adult life with full privileges. I could vote. My health care was my own business, and I didn't have to, talk to anybody else about it. It was wonderful 50 years. And I'm really, my biggest thing is I'm sad that now that I'm retired, I have to deal with this, and I don't have that beautiful America anymore.
Oh, it's scary. I'm going to say, as the daughter of a German Jew, who I won't get into his story too much, except that he had to leave because he was such a radical as a 15-year-old in 1933 Nazi Germany in Munich, which is sort of the hotbed where it was all developing then. But one of the things is, so as you were describing about abusive relationships, which I do have some experience with, personal and professional, it's the gaslighting. So as you said, you can say whatever you want, but then you'll get the gaslighting. And the other thing that you said before we started the show that really made it, that I thought was so important was when you reminded us that that Trump had said, vote for me and you'll never have to vote again. So it's back to, when people, they just keep introducing it a little bit, like, but only joking, kidding on the square, kidding on the square, like I told, So, I mean, these are unprecedented times, with the freaking government. I mean, first of all, it is true that for BIPOC people, they have been experiencing what we're experiencing now as white people and activists are getting. That has always been the situation for Black, Indigenous, and people of color, that they could be picked up, that racism, now that the Supreme Court has made it legal by making it okay to detain people just based on their appearance and their language, is truly outrageous. However, that was going on right along throughout our history with the racism, with all of that. So it's the welcome to my world kind of thing is what BIPOC people will say to us now. So we're waking up to that world. People are realizing. But now I want to say we did have a show planned, and so to talk about the real crisis that is not here, but that is continuing to be brewing with all this preparation and other BS and all the people who are going along with the Kool-Aid and the cults, that, it makes it very scary. But there are people who are awake to what's going on. And so I don't think, so we are not going to take that tack and see what are we going to do when we have had quite a few shows that go along with that tack, talking about mass mobilizing and things like that. But right now we're going to talk about, let's presume that we are going to prevail and there will be voting and we have our imperfect democracy as it is, how we want to improve it. Some of the things that we want to do, can do, need to do to really improve it. Because when I want to say, I love Democracy Now!, right? That's such a great show. And thank you, Amy Goodman, who came here, and actually she was the Western New York Peace Center keynote speaker one year. And then we got Democracy Now! On WBNY. Yay, WBNY. So anyway, we're grateful to have Democracy Now! Here in Western New York. But I love the thing about that show because it says, let's have a democracy now, since we don't have one. Now, it's not a black or white issue. So we have some elements of democracy, and then we have some things working against it. Some ways it's imperfect. Well, it's getting more and more imperfect, and this is what we're going to talk about. But let's start off with one of the things that I know you're both very well informed about, and that's a high priority: ranked choice voting. We just saw a great example of what it did for New York City when they came down with Mayor Mamdani now. And so let's talk about ranked choice voting. So Alex, you take the first.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, ranked choice voting is actually something that I was interested in when I was just a, very young adult. When I was growing up, I sort of came into politics. It was right around the time that Citizens United was around. It was when Stephen Colbert was educating people on super PACs.
So can you give a year?
Oh, geez. I want to say
roundabout.
2008 or 9, maybe?
Sure.
It's going back a ways.
Sure.
I was in high school, and he was educating people better on it than the news was. So I was interested in the concept of democracy and what we could do with it and change it, because granted, I did see it change a little bit, but it was in mostly bad ways. And ranked choice voting was something that piqued my interest from a young age, because it offers people simply more options. You don't just have one vote effectively when you go into a polling booth. You get to rank your choices. And what I especially like about that, having grown up in a system where, you cast your vote, you go home, you win, maybe you're excited, you lose, maybe you're upset. And I've never been a fan of the two-party system. I don't think anyone my age is, or younger, and frankly, older at this point.
Right.
it allows you to rank candidates you want. It gets rid of the spoiler candidate problem, because if your first candidate doesn't win, well, you still have your next option to go for. It just offers a more vibrant, interesting democracy, allows more people to run, and it allows people to vote their conscience. I won't say who I have voted for in any election, but I can say that there have been very few elections where I've ever felt like I've had the ability to vote my conscience. And if I
Right.
did, I had to weigh it on if I was going to hurt people I potentially care about based on policies that might get passed otherwise.
Right.
But
Yeah.
it's always been something that's interested me, and I think it'd be really helpful for our democracy in
Right.
a lot of ways.
Thanks. Lori?
Yeah, as Alex just said, I mean, it does open the field for more candidates. It also opens our ability to have a better choice and to make, that old, remember my dad saying it, voting for the lesser of the two evils.
Right.
How depressing is that?
Right.
That we get to choose which hurt we want. I mean, it's like, that's not right. But anyway, the two-party system. Okay, how much time we got? I'm feeling like our two-party system is what's caused all this chaos that we're seeing right now. Because it's either you're this or you're that. There is no compromise. There's no collaboration. There's no talk or discussion. Well, let's see if we can't make some balance on that. So I feel like our democracy would work well with multiple parties, just because they have it all set up with this red and blue. When you see the seats in the Senate, and they're right down the middle. I mean, wouldn't it be beautiful to have a little purple, red, and green and all different colors in there, and they can still vote on the majority leader or their whatever leader, whatever little inside things they have going on, but they vote instead of just, we got to, twist the arm to get something passed. And I also believe that, just 51 isn't like really a majority on anything, but so at least with ranked choice voting, you get that option. You get, I was told here in Western New York that, ranked choice voting would never work. We don't have enough candidates. Well, I do remember a couple of times that we had a lot of candidates that wanted to run, and for some reason, none of their petitions were good enough. Something else wasn't good
boy.
enough. They hadn't been around long enough. They weren't on the inside. But anyway, right now, what we're kind of seeing in Western New York, and I mean, I don't know if anybody else sees it, but I feel like there is a group of people that are just kind of, okay, I'll take that seat now. I'll take this seat now. I'm going to go over here. I'm going to go over there. I'm going to do this. How can you get any work done? I mean, it's bad enough that they got to run for an election every 2 years, or every 6 months in some cases, because they're moving from here or they're quitting there or they're going there. There's no real commitment to the job. I mean, to me, I made a commitment, and I'm going to fulfill it if it kills me, but it's going to do it, and it's like, I just feel like that, that there's no real commitment to any elected officials right now. But with ranked choice voting, you're going to have a little bit more commitment, and you're going to have a little bit more collaboration. In the movie, Majority Rules, which will be shown throughout the Western New York area throughout the summer.
Good.
Will be, it says in there, I forgot what I was going to say. Something. Anyway, about picking, I get carried away.
It'll
Goes right
help
out the
us.
other
It'll
side.
help us.
Love it.
Yeah. And just they were talking about something, and I can't remember how it was.
Well, I'm just excited about that movie, and you be sure to let us know. And we want to either, hold a screening of it or a co-sponsor or whatever, because it's so important. And I'm going to say you brought up what were really two really important points to me. One of them being that really having a choice, and I mean both of what you said. To do ranked choice voting, you get to make your choices. And so I feel like whenever I'm voting against somebody. It's like I have to vote for this one because I'm afraid that one's going to win. And so that's why it's all based on that. My dad, he also talked about lesser of two evils, and he used to say it's about deciding whether you want malaria or cholera, you know? So something
about
like
right.
that.
Do you want to be punched or do you want to be punched?
You want, yeah, or
Or
you want to be
slapped.
kicked or punched, you
Yeah.
know, or you want, the left side or the right side, or whatever. But I mean, it's about it so that you can put your favorite person down. You don't have to be afraid to do that, and then you're saying, so it just makes sense as far as really tabulating what people want. Instead of forcing people to make a choice and to be voting against somebody, that's like I said, very often that is what happens. The other thing that you brought up that we'll talk about more, I mean, we could even talk about it right now, but the thing about Western New York and the way things have gone down when we don't really have an election. So there's already, it's already clear who's going to win, or it's already determined by who's the incumbency, and people back to not being committed because they'd like to stop. And I don't think it's even as much about not being committed, but they want to stop so that they can select, so that the party leadership can select who's going to be the incumbent, so who's going to be the most likely one to win. So they're really selecting, so they're undermining our ability to choose. And that has happened time and time again here in Western New York. And so
Did we mention that Western New York has some of the lowest voter turnout in the country? I was not aware of that, originally, but it's like when I heard that statistic, I'm like, oh my God, I vote every time. But, it's like realizing that people just don't vote. And when we talk to people and why don't you vote? And it's like, well, because it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It's already, like you said, we already know who's going to win. So why should I bother going to vote? I mean, I think that's why our mayoral race turnout was very, very low. Because, they already had said before the election who was going to be the winner. I mean, there was some article in some thing in the news that before the election, they had already had a date set to meet with Mayor-elect Ryan. And I'm like, well, that's a little...
Right.
A little, I don't care if you did that in private, but not to put it in the paper.
And then to have, well, first of all, the fact that we have a board of electors with the head of two of our the two parties.
Right. Our board of
sharing
elections should be nonpartisan.
It should be nonpartisan.
Not the head of
Nonpartisan is very possible. But it's not chosen. It's not chosen here in Western New York. So, I mean, when we just have such a problem with not giving people the chance to make a choice.
Or to make a difference, even
make
to
a
get
difference.
involved and to make a difference.
Right.
I mean, I know now I've been with the league and living here in the city of Buffalo for about 15 years now, 13 with the league, but back in the city. I was born here, but I moved away for most of my life. And now back here, and it just really seen how sad the city is. I mean, there's a lot of things that haven't changed since I was here 50 years ago and lived in the city, and different things. Like just now, driving out here from the other side of town, down Clinton Street, it's like, why is that so empty? And if we go to transit roads, you can't even move. There's so much stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
And so many cars.
So,
But we
yeah.
won't get into that.
So,
That's another show.
so,
but
Alex,
nothing, work. Yeah.
So, Alex, what would you add to any
I mean,
parts of that
you know,
you
that
want to address?
There's
Yeah.
a lot I could add to it.
Sure.
I mean, just like as far as some of the sort of insider corruption you were talking about, I mean, New York State was the home of Tammany Hall and Boss Tweed back in the day.
Right.
The sort of political machine that ran New York City.
Right.
And in a way it's gone, but in a way that legacy definitely lives on. And I mean, you could see it again in our very small voter turnout in Buffalo, and how we're not really, I don't personally feel encouraged to go out and vote. I still do. I encourage other people myself to do it. But like you were saying, a lot of it's still the same. I mean, like Buffalo is one of the most segregated cities in the country.
Right.
Buffalo is one of the poorest cities in the country. Buffalo has the oldest housing in the entire country. 68 years old, medium age of houses. We are freezing to death in our homes. We don't take care, it does not feel like we have politicians that genuinely care. And a lot of people feel that way, especially when they don't see them advocating on behalf of people. And I think a lot of it is because they feel comfortable.
Right.
I'm not going to name any names, of course, or anything like that. But
of course.
you know, like it is wild to me that that we can have all of these problems in the city, and it just doesn't feel like I'm seeing a constructed, concerted effort by the people who are in power to do it. But then you start to think about who continues to be the ones in power. And it's political dynasties, both family and office. You have
Right.
people's parents who run, and then their kids run, and then their kids run.
Right.
Or this office, and then that staffer runs, and then that staffer runs. It's
Right.
We have an incestuous democracy.
Yes. Yes.
You know, like
Yes. Thank you for that.
But,
Yes. Well put.
it's disgusting. You know, like, and not just the phrase, it's how it plays out.
No.
No,
Ugh.
right, it's interesting.
Sorry, I could get a little bit
I
excited.
know,
we
we
could,
no,
we,
no.
we're probably all very passionate about this topics, or we wouldn't be doing what we're doing. That's for
Right.
sure.
Right. Well, and I'll just mention that we are all engaged with a 501c3. So that does, I'm going to say as we do this, that we are not choosing parties. We stay out of partisan politics per se.
For sure.
Or,
Right,
and,
but
and,
it's
and
issues,
even in
and
this, but these issues are there, very real, very, very, very present, as you both described. I'd like to go around on another thing that is very big is the money in politics. So Citizens United, you mentioned it before. Citizens United that claims that money is speech, that makes that gives corporations the right of personhood, where persons don't really have we don't have a lot of rights, but the corporations certainly do. But anyway, the amount of dark money, the PACs, all the ways that elections can be bought now because people are free to spend whatever kind. So, I did a thesis on Kenya as the import regimes in Kenya, right? And what my finding was, you find that lo and behold, the political and economic leaders, power mongers of Kenya were all in a little, club together, right? Not literally, but I mean, they knew each other. It was concentrated. Economic and political power was absolutely concentrated in just a very few people. And funnily enough, that is
Sounds
what
like
we're
you're
just
describing the
talking
United
about.
States of America in 2026.
Exactly. So the United States and also
Any-
Western New York.
any-
What we just said. If you go to Little Sis and see, or our city Buffalo, our city Action Buffalo had a study done about where the economic and political power lies, and just like you said, it's the dynasties. So let's go around about that.
I'm sorry, about Citizens United or
Citizens
Yeah.
United
Sure,
and
yeah.
the money in politics.
well, so I grew,
Elections for sale.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I grew up in a lower middle class household in Tonawanda, and when I started to learn how money impacted our elections, one of the first things that I came away with was, well, damn, I'm probably never going to be able to do that. Now working in it, I'm not sure I'd ever want to either. But it's really absolutely wild to me because speech is something that we all have. Some people can be a little bit louder, some people can be a little bit quieter. You can oscillate, you can when it comes to money, that is not something that I have generally. I'm comfortable enough, but like I cannot throw a ton of money at a candidate, and
Right.
we are talking about the most wealthy and powerful people already throwing more and more money into our system at our candidates, drowning out the rest of our voices, the rest of our speech,
Right.
just because they have money. It's a bribe. It feels like a bribe. It
Right.
looks like a bribe. It walks like a bribe, and it quacks like a bribe.
Right.
And you know, and it's another reason when people look around and start to say things like, "Oh, well, it doesn't matter. Why should I vote? It doesn't matter. They're never going to listen to me." And when you see things that are like 70-30 issues, 80-20 issues happening again and again to not be supported by the
Right.
political establishment
Right.
on the local, state, federal level,
Right.
it's no surprise as to why. You know, it's I would say it's one of the most glaringly obvious
Right.
breakdowns of our democracy is the money. Because if I gave somebody $100,000, I bet they're more likely to do what I ask of them.
Right. Funnily enough.
Yeah.
Funnily enough. Thank you. Yes, absolutely. Lori?
Yeah, no, it's a terrible thing. I mean, money in and of itself is a necessary thing that we all
Sure.
need to have. How much do you really need? I mean, that's the way I feel about it. Never really worried about too much of it. I never had really too much of it to worry about, and that's probably why I never worried about it. But anyway, what gets me the most about the giving money to a super PAC or a campaign is these same people don't want to pay taxes. And I think it was Mondami that said just recently, he said, I would not, your taxes would not increase if you paid your taxes to New York City, would not be as much money as you gave to the politicians. For what? To put ads on TV that say nothing about how wonderful they are and all the great things that they're going to do for us. All the ads have been and have gotten progressively worse in the last 25 to 30 years is telling about what a scoundrel that other person is. I don't care. I can figure out whether or not the other person is a scoundrel on my own. If you're going to put a commercial on, please tell me about the wonderful plans you have for the future, what you're going to do in the job. What is your platform? Not about what the other guy is or the other person is such a scoundrel. I mean, what a waste of money. And guess what? It didn't work. Didn't Elon Musk put billions of dollars into some campaign in the Midwest this last year and they lost?
Well, hallelujah.
Yeah,
No,
I mean-
we can only be glad when things are not for sale.
That's right. Because one
Occasionally.
vote is worth a lot more than any money. I feel like if we can get the voice of the people with their one vote, not counting ranked choice voting when we really got three, but anyway, I mean, just that we
Even
go out
better.
and vote. When they have these big fundraisers and it's $10,000 a plate or whatever, how many people are in that room? Why don't you fill up the stadium and charge us $1 each to get in there? You're going to have more money. And you're going to get more votes because more of us are going to hear what you have to say and all the wonderful things you're going to do for us in the future. But that's not the way I'm very much an optimist. So those two things, the idea that just really gulls me. That all as you want is a tax break, a tax break, a tax break. I love paying taxes. I mean, I feel like I'm contributing to my society. I love the idea that the fire department is sitting there waiting and ready just in case I need them.
Right.
I am so grateful that I will say this, the streets are really nice down here in Cowsiertown. But that the
were talking
snow
about that
plows
earlier.
that the snow plows can come through and get me out of the snow if I need them. I love to pay my taxes. I think that is an important piece of my being a citizen of the United States of America, that I'm willing to contribute to the benefit of all of us. But when when these developers or people that have money, we need a tax break. We can't pay all those the property tax or sales tax or whatever it is that you're going to give me a tax break on. But here's $3 million for your campaign.
Ridiculous.
It's
ridiculous.
It should be illegal.
So I'm now we're not running out of time quite yet, but for the amount of things that we still want to talk
Okay.
about, so I want us to move on to also voter suppression. So voter suppression, is real. It is very real, and in some places it is even more real than that. First of all, we come from a long history of voter suppression, and the black community's fight to vote just showed us how much it means and how much it's worth. So that voting is so important, and there are very serious attempts to suppress people's votes. So if we could go around about that, Alex.
For sure. I did just want to add one final word to that last part of the conversation.
Oh,
I would
okay.
love to see what the inflation has been for elections over the last 20 years or so.
Of the expense of how
Yeah.
much
Oh,
they spend.
yeah.
I'm sure
Oh,
somebody has that
it's-
information
that's
there.
true.
You know,
Yes.
we know how much eggs prices have gone up. What percentage is elections? Anyways,
Oh, yeah, no,
if
you're
anyone
right.
has that information, I hear this is on YouTube. Throw it in the comment section.
Right, right. That
Um,
would be good.
but,
We'll have to
but yes.
duck go it when we get off
right.
the air.
Voter
Go ahead.
suppression. So I mean, like voter suppression, it hits in a lot of ways, right?
Right.
Certainly, in New York State, for a lot of reasons, we do have it a bit easier than other states around the country, and we certainly have it better than people did in the
Hallelujah.
past. But I mean, it can still be difficult for people to do. So, like for example, I work on a lot of college campuses. I've mentioned that a few times, and you know, sometimes the elections aren't held at good times for students to be able to get to register to vote. Or to be able to vote in some primaries. I know
Right.
I voted for a primary in June where students are spending most of their time around the year. They're not on that college campus, or maybe they are and they're still registered back home. I will say the colleges around here have gotten better with voter registration. I think that's awesome.
Right.
There's also just where the polling machines are. Where are they located? How accessible are they? I mean, you go to a place like New York City and you see or hear about these lines that wrap around blocks. People wait for hours to get in. Meanwhile, their boss is mad. Meanwhile, they have to pick up their kids and they have to go to bed in the morning to do it again.
Right.
And it's also, to sort of bring it all back, I feel like there's sort of an insistent voter suppression just in the way that people feel so odiously about our democracy to begin with. Because if you feel like your vote doesn't matter, that they're always going to the rich person over you,
Right.
you are less likely to go out
Oh, sure.
every time. And I see it a lot today. When I was out petitioning, a lot of people brought up that sentiment.
Right.
You know, there are a lot of ways it happens, but
Right.
mhm.
Thanks.
Yeah,
And
no.
Lori?
Voter suppression. You said that we were very lucky here in New York with our voting.
Well, I think it's all relative.
It's all
Yes.
relative. It is, and it's much better than it was. And I will say, and I was not involved with the league at the time, but the League of Women Voters was very instrumental in advocating for our early voting days that we did not
Right,
have.
right.
So that is that's wonderful to have that. As you said, you know, to try to get to the polling place on one day. Yeah, it's 12, 15 hours, and those poor people that have to work there all day. But you
Yeah.
know, it still
Oh,
may
God.
not be convenient on that
Right.
day.
No.
Right.
And you know, so the fact that I've never seen lines except when I lived in Phoenix, Arizona, for one of Barack's elections.
I didn't say in Buffalo.
Right. You said New York City, but you know, but I've seen them in the South in different places. I mean, how ridiculous is that? Why can't you have a couple more places? Why wouldn't you have more people? You know, more tables, more pencils, or whatever it is that you need to get the people in to vote? But God bless those people that will stand in line for hours and go in and cast their ballot. Those are real citizens of this country.
Right.
Most of us would not put up with that.
Right.
But
And can
did I
you
write?
also
I was
talk
gonna
about
say,
women's right to vote and some of the more recent efforts
Oh,
to try and suppress women's voting?
Yeah.
And well, and also
I think
for
I
people's
think that
gender.
was mentioned in this current administration about, oh, we should take away the women's right to vote again.
Well,
And a joke, of course.
but also the thing about your name. So
Oh,
that you
right.
have
So
to
in this
prove-
SAFE
Oh,
Act,
right.
it's safe in this if this SAVE Act passes, that's one of the things that could be. You have to have your original birth certificate and your current driver's license or whatever your current information is, ID is. And how many women, because that was the way it was, changed their name to their husband's name.
Right.
So your birth certificate, you didn't know who you were going to marry on your birth certificate. So, now you've got two different names. And what do we got to carry around now? Our marriage certificate. Well, what if I got divorced? Do I got to carry that around too? I mean, it is just a burdensome
and
thing.
also people's genders.
Oh, yes.
That's
And
the other one.
well, that's a whole nother topic
right,
as far
right,
as
but-
whether or not we have to conform to somebody's idea of what we should be. But one of the they do it when you see what I wrote for voter suppression too is when you see that the policies of whatever the administration or your local government are, and that that you're not going to be able to fix that, that's also suppressing the vote. Like you said, people are not going to want to go and vote because it doesn't really matter. But it does, because we can make a difference if we go and vote.
Right.
And that the fact that the people that are running for office don't want everybody to vote, because then they might pick somebody that's not in the system, that's not preordained, that's not, ready to try to take over, which, that shouldn't be that complicated. That was one of the things. Oh, well, the incumbent already knows everything that's happening and, the timelines and who this is and who that is. It's like, well, so the next person could learn that too. I mean, that's not an exclusive thing. I think if we go back to our original, wasn't it supposed to be you were going to go and serve your country for a couple of years, then you're going to
Yes.
go back to your original
Yes.
job?
Yes.
And it's not a lifetime thing to be a politician, is not a
Exactly.
career path. It's a public service. A public service.
Absolutely. Yes, we need to go to that. That is really because we need, I want to say, especially, and I guess this brings us around, we can bring this around a little bit to what we were saying about Western New York and our current dynasties and the in-group,
They'll say
the
that they're
marching
open
orders
to anything,
and,
though.
well, they say they're open to anything, but then we see the way things happen. So they don't happen that people are open to anything.
Right, we don't see it. We
And
don't see
don't-
that new person getting an opportunity to run in a primary, or we did see it. And so that was a great lesson for all of us in Buffalo. That whole, can I name names? I mean, that when India Walton was running, that was such a fun, wonderful experience to be able to think that we were going to have this young woman be our mayor, and it didn't happen
but
because
so-
they didn't like it. So
Okay, I just wanted to throw in there real quick. My entire adult life, most of my life, Byron Brown was mayor, and whatever it was what it was. But yeah, he was there for a fifth of a century.
Oh.
That is insane.
So now,
well, look at how long some of the senators have been in
Absolutely.
the,
then
in the
this
Senate.
is now you're
so-
bringing up that one of my favorite topics that I didn't even put down for us to talk about, term limits. I should have term limits. I'm going to say change is good. We need change. I'm going to say at the Western New York Peace Center, we will very shortly be posting the job of executive director. I'm interim executive director. Now, executive director again, but I already tried to retire once and I'm about to retire again, or I won't stop working, but I'll stop being the executive director because change is good. So these people who grab onto that, glom onto that, and then it's the career path, or it's just the glomming onto the one spot and then they just stay there ad
Well,
infinitum till they could practically die in
You
office.
have to suppress the vote in order to maintain that too. You can't have a bunch of new people moving into your district and voting for somebody else.
Well, it's suppressing the vote, but it's also it's just a kind of gamesmanship, and that's why we talked about the resigning so that you get to select the incumbent, so that then they end up winning. So there's all these other things that are going on, and I want to say a word about integrity. Which really
In the same sentence with
yeah,
politics.
I know it seems incredible.
hard.
With candidates.
It seems incredible. I know I'm just deranged or something. But I mean, as you were saying, the thing about politicians, one thing that just annoys me so much, and I sort of everything has two handles, one by which it can be held and one by which it cannot be held. So it's very understandable that you want to be listening to people and agreeable with people and, even pleasing people. I'm kind of a pleaser. I know that. I don't want people to be mad at me, right? In general, although, I mean, it certainly happens quite a bit, I think. Anyway, I just feel like, there's such a lot of disingenuousness, of phoniness, of a mask. These politicians that so often you won't get the real feelings. You won't get the sincere response. You'll get, I want to, Cornel West, used the phrase that he said, if everyone had moral integrity and universal solidarity, all of, we would get to where we need to go. And so that's what I want to say. And if it's back to your point about the original plan was that citizens would take a turn to serve, to
Represent their neighbors.
right, and then move on, go back to what you do and take turns so that everybody has a turn. You have a healthier democracy that way. So we are coming around to sort of the close to the end of the show. So I want to give you each a turn on how to learn more and get more involved, which is
Before we do that, can I just say one more thing about another initiative that the League of Women Voters is working
very
on?
briefly.
Very briefly, abolishing the Electoral College.
Oh, please,
And
yes.
go to the popular vote. So
Absolutely.
that is another way that we can make our democracy better. We don't have to wait for the wagon train to bring the votes in anymore. We can know right away who's voted.
So you're so right. Popular vote. Another topic that we didn't even start to talk about, the Citizens Charter. So I'm going to tell people on the 12th, there's a listening session. Look it up.
the city
There's
charter for
the
Buffalo.
city charter for Buffalo. That's very important too. So, but anyway, so both of you, how people can learn more, get more involved.
Sure. Well, I mean, shameless plug, especially if you are
Yeah.
a college student in New York State, go to NYPIRG.org. That is NYPIRG.org. If you are at UB, look for us on campus. If you don't have a NYPIRG chapter at your college, reach out to us through our website. Let's see what we can do. But, in general, find a group of people, get involved with them, choose to do something, and stick to it. Get other people involved, grow your movement through your passion. Whatever you can do, get involved in your local politics, state politics, federal politics. It doesn't matter. Find an organization, make an organization, do your thing, and build the hope if you do not have it already, and find other people around you who will help build that as well. And also get involved with the city charter. Buffalo City Charter is being revised right now. This is a huge chance for everyone in the city to really have an impact on how our city is run. I could talk forever. I'll pass it off to Lori.
Thanks, Alex.
Of course.
Thanks, Alex. Yes, get involved. That's a great thing. There have been so many new community groups and groups of neighbors that have gotten together, and they're doing a fabulous job. I just shout out I can't think of all of their names, but Western New York Getting It Done, and all these different organizations that have popped up in the last 10 years because of the crisis that's been looming in our democracy, and that just warms my heart that there's so many people that are interested in trying to make a difference. The league has been around for 140 years, so we have a
Right.
little bit of baggage. I hate to use that word, but we have a little bit of our legacy that we really have to
Yes.
maintain and keep working on. And we are all ready to do on a hunger strike again if we have to. But anyway, we did it before. We can do it again is kind of our motto. And we are. Our website is LWV-BN at .org. To get to our website, we've just revamped it, so it's still kind of a work in progress, but it's really
Right.
good progress, and
Sure. Oh,
there's
good.
lots of all the different things that we're involved in. Like I said, we've been working really collaborating with a lot of different organizations. So
Yep.
come and join all of us. I mean,
Right.
we're all just fighting for democracy. March 28th, we'll be out on the street.
Absolutely. Yep. When we'll be out there with you, have our peacekeepers, and we've trained, over, had shared learning on for our peacekeepers from the Western New York Peace Center, and we are thrilled to collaborate with the League of Women Voters. So that's LVNW.
LWV.
I'm sorry.
League. It's the LW League Women Voters, Buffalo, Niagara,
Right.
BN.
Right.
LWV.
Right. That's why I
BN.
was starting to say it out. Yep. So that's exactly that. And NYPIRG. So both of your organizations are so great. We're thrilled to have you on the show, collaborating with you on so many things, on all of those things and more to boot. It's so important that we need to work together to get where we need to go. So thank you so much for all your work that you do, for coming on the show, for everything that we're going to do together.
Right. We
So
the people.
This is
We
yes,
the people.
Exactly.
Right.
So this is Talking Peace, and together we've been talking peace in truth and love. Thank you so much. Thank you.